Hey everyone, I wanted to show you how you could connect Salesforce data into equals. And for this demo, I'll be building out full funnel reporting. Now, I've built a lot of reporting within Salesforce directly, but I found that doing something like full funnel is really hard to do in Salesforce directly just because you're connecting so many objects together. And so SQL and Excel make for a great place to build this out. Let's get started and just connect to a spreadsheet. I'm going to go to this top right connections tab, do connect data source, type in Salesforce, and I'm presented with two routes for how I could connect to this data. I could connect via a query builder, which essentially gives me an opportunity to select the objects I want to pull from, like opportunities, select the fields I want to pull from, add filters, etc., and do so without writing any SQL. I prefer to just write SQL, so I am going to show you an example of that. Let's just pull the ID, created date, and close date from the opportunity table, limit it by 10 to give you an example of what this looks like. You'll see this populates here. And then, of course, across equals, this data operates like a spreadsheet. So if you wanted to look at the month in which the data was closed, or maybe the year in which it was closed, you could do that here. And then if I wanted to add a new field like stage name, I can run that also. And the calculated fields to the right stay the same. All right, so let's go through a more complex SQL query. In this view, I'm going to be looking at MQLs. You can see I'm connecting it within Salesforce. And then there's three columns that I have pulled down. I'm pulling down the MQL created week, my MQL count, and then what my MQL target is for that week. And then I've also created a calculated field, which basically looks at my attainment numbers for that week and drag that down. All right, so now that I have a few base inputs, I want to start to analyze that data further. So here I have essentially just transposed that data underneath, and I've also created a couple of charts helping me to visualize what my performance looks like. And I want to draw attention to this feature right here, which is called auto expand. Essentially, by having auto expand selected, as my data refreshes underneath, this data will continue to build out. So currently I have it refreshed through mid-November, but as my scheduled query refreshes, this data refreshes, the table gets populated and the chart further builds out. So that's a really cool feature to highlight for this use case. So I have MQLs transposed here. I've got my op created tab, which looks at similar data, but show me how many opportunities I'm created by week, and then show me the pipeline associated with those opportunities over time, and the charts. And then I also do the same for my closed won data. All right, so now that I've have all of that information in their silos, like the next thing I want to do is pull that information together. And I've found that equals allows you to do that really easily. So here I've created a table just summarizing my top line metrics. And you can see for each of these actuals and target numbers, I'm pulling from the respective spreadsheets in which I'm calculating this data. And then I've added some conditional formatting on those attainment numbers also. I found that this is hard to do also within another tool or like Salesforce or even another BI tool. I spend lots of time trying to format this in the right way, but with spreadsheets, it's very intuitive and simple. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to consolidate all that information, and I'm going to be using our dashboard functionality to do so. So you can see within dashboards, I've started to lie this out already, but just to illustrate it again, like if I want to drop a table into my dashboard view, it's as simple as selecting the cells that you care about, and then you have the option to resize it. What's also fun about this is that it's not actually a screenshot, it's more of a mirror image. So if I was to update this shape or change the cells underneath, like this data also shifts. Okay. So as I start to look at this data, there's a narrative taking place. And the narrative, it looks like, is we're doing pretty well top of funnel. We've got strong MQL growth, very strong op creation and pipeline close or pipeline creation numbers, but we are a bit weak in our op close or pipeline close one. So let's drill down into that a little bit more. Here's the data associated with that. I can see that we've actually only met our target one of the weeks, and we are about 70% attainment for the quarter. So not looking great. But there's two things that I see that are missing from this chart that I really want to drill into more. And typically, if you saw this data in another BI report, you'd have to go to a spreadsheet or another tool to dig into that. But with equals, you can just create a new tab and dive in. So the two things that I think are missing from this is, even though we're below target for Q4, we actually don't see how much pipeline is created for the rest of Q4, which would be really interesting. If we have lots of pipeline, maybe we can close a high percentage of that. And then the second thing is, I wonder if linear targets or attainment numbers are the best predictor of success for Q4. So let's create a scratch pad and dive into those views. In the scratch pad, I am showing a couple of things. So one, I'm showing how much closed one have we closed to date for the quarter. And then you can reference the data underneath to figure out how much open pipeline we have for the quarter. Here's my linear target. And then I've created a second scenario where we are closing 35% of our open pipeline. So it's just 35% of that number. And then I've charted this out. Now, what you see is I have two different scenarios in aggregate. So in one scenario, I'm saying, let's take what we have to date and assume that we're going to hit our target from here on out, which maybe we shouldn't assume because we've only hit one of our targets so far. But if we do that, we get to 83% attainment for the quarter. The second scenario is we achieve that 35% win rate on our open pipeline, and that gets us to 96% attainment. So let me just add a comment here, and I can tell the team that we're doing better than initially looks, and then I'll CC our head of finance. Okay, so to summarize, Equals is a really powerful tool. You can build full funnel reporting from within Salesforce here. You can aggregate information very easily, present a narrative that is compelling, and then as you find insights that you want to click into, you can build out a scratch pad and you can do modeling scenarios, which is not something that you can do across any other tool. Thanks.